Hi, everybody. This is Jay Carter. We're back with the Black Lawyers Podcast. Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing the one, the only, Erika Alexander. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yes, yes, yes. A lot of people are going to tune into this episode. You have a cult following.
All
So
right, I'll take it.
you have a cult following. So we're going to jump in. I make all my guests play hot topics. So today's version will be the Maxine Shaw edition. So you can answer them as Erika Alexander, or you can answer them as Maxine Shaw, what you think Max Shaw would say.
Okay.
Based on what I tell you. Okay. All right. So the first topic is, I don't know if you've heard, but Tiger Woods is back in the news with a girlfriend who has been locked out of the house. Her name is her name is Erika.
Oh Lord.
Her name is Erika Herman. She alleges that she was forced to go on a vacation. And when she got back from the airport, they wouldn't allow her back into the house, the Florida house that she shared with Tiger. Of course, he's claiming she's a jilted ex. They were already in the process of doing some sort of mediation. And she basically, to get around the confidentiality clause of the mediation, she just filed the lawsuit saying that she was illegally evicted. Which I don't think anybody wants to be, surprise evicted, obviously. So my question to you is, first of all, she's suing for $30 million. Don't know where she got that number from, but she's suing for $30 million, claiming that she was evicted from the house, that they misappropriated, I think, $40,000 of her own personal funds. And she's, interesting enough, not suing Tiger. She's actually suing his trust, who's saying that, any agreement with real estate, it would have to be in writing. We're not going on this whole oral argument that she's alleging. So what is your verdict? Would you, even if you wouldn't give her the $30 million, would you give her something for being evicted the way that she was evicted?
No, she gets nothing. She don't get a damn thing, as far as I'm concerned.
And look, if she says that the oral argument was that she could stay for 5 more years. So she's already been in there for 6 as a girlfriend. So she's saying the oral argument says that she could stay there for 5 more years. So
you're saying that she's already gotten they've conceded that she could stay for 5 more years?
No, they're not conceding. She's saying this is what the oral argument was. It's that whenever they break up, she would have an additional 5 years to stay. So she is saying because they reneged on that, she's suing for $30 million.
She gets nothing.
She gets nothing.
No. As far as I'm concerned, if I were the judge in that case, I am not a judge and I am not even Maxine Shaw. But it seems like to me, Maxine Shaw would say this. If you have stayed there rent-free for 5 years already, you've already gotten a chance to build wealth on someone else's back. Now, if you're saying you went on a vacation and came back and somebody has decided to change the key, I don't know what kind of right she has. Is this Florida, by the way?
It is Florida.
So Florida meaning anything goes. That's the wild, wild South. Not the wild, wild West, but the wild South. That means you got with a Florida man. So Florida, we know that Florida men, by the very nature, do not do things the same way. So you took your chances and you lost. You shouldn't have gone on vacation. And I'm sorry, I believe in women's rights and all that other stuff. And I do believe in even tenants' rights. But I also think that she took advantage of the situation. She probably knew that her time there was coming to an end. She could have gotten herself together she probably didn't pay rent to whatever place he's staying at. And if you didn't get yourself together by then you learn from this and move on. But he shouldn't have to pay for your stupidity. Now, on the Tiger side, you need to stop doing this. There are things that you can sign beforehand that spell these things out for all parties. How you break up, what you can or cannot get, what you concede or and if he hasn't gotten that into place, then if she wins on the other end, then you deserve it because you have the means and you have the access to resources to help you get those things together. So as far as I'm concerned, no, I don't think she deserves anything. But I also think that if she's able to make that case and she ends up winning something, that's because he didn't state the rules of engagement and he could have.
All right. Well, Erika Alexander, aka Maxine Shaw, that's her verdict. That's her verdict. That's her verdict on the Tiger case. And just as a legal note, Florida says all tenant situations still after a year have to be in writing. So, she's been there for 6 years. So, like you said, if you were going to ever enforce this, both parties should have just put something in writing. So I
Especially him. He knew the deal. He
he
knew.
knew the deal. All right. Well, moving on from Florida to Washington, D.C., we have a Michael Newman, who is a former white student at Howard University's law school, who is suing them for humiliation, intentional infliction of emotional distress. And if you don't know, and obviously listeners, if you don't know the facts of this case, long story short, he had already been doing things that have been troubling the administration prior to him being uh, uh, basically they forced him to withdraw from the school because he was basically causing trouble in classes. He was saying like inappropriate comments. There were like tweets that were brought up that were very racially insensitive. And then he tried to write some letter to everyone. It ended up being like this crazy manifesto. So anyway, he had done a couple of things that had offended the administration and the students. And so they told him, yeah, he had to leave the school. And so this is his response. Michael Newman's response. He is suing Howard University. What is your verdict on whether he has a case or not? Should he be, where would you sit again? You're not a judge, but would you give him anything?
Well, this is what I call white power meets black resistance.
Okay.
And based on that, they're both very able to conquer each other. They probably going to need some mediation. Talk about mediation. Meet him, and maybe ask: did they need to evaluate his mental state? Did he go there with this type of agenda to do that, to upset? Because we can't imagine that people do that, but they do, to push. Oh, see what they did to diversity. He might be being paid by a white wing operative or group, frankly, to do this.
Like he was placed there. Like he was placed there to kind of cause the ruckus.
Possible. I
That's
try not
possible.
to be conspiracy, but it's possible. But they could look into his past tweets and his friends and ask, what did he have these things, or did they come on? Did he feel like he was overwhelmed and he started to push against it because he wasn't being absorbed into the university with friends and stuff? So he felt like an outsider. Welcome to our world. But I think what they should do is, or what he should have done, is that he could have moved at any point and found a different university. Howard University is a university that's not known for being racially insensitive and or biased or prejudiced. In fact, that's why it was created, to absorb students who were not able to go anyplace else. So he can make that case if he wants to, except there, as far as I'm concerned, because they have other white students. So, he's going to have to show cause. And if he can't, he's going to have to show that behavior was locked in with what they accept. And I don't think they accept that from anybody. And they just need to prove that. And if they can prove that, then they can say you are not unlike any of these other people. And hopefully the judge will dismiss the case. If he can show that they have let other people state who've done it, then maybe he has a case.
And he's also suing for $2 million. I don't think Howard University is giving him $2 million after he caused all that ruckus. But that is your verdict, that Howard just needs to just show that he wasn't treated any differently.
Should not give in. They could take it to the moot court, which is over there at Howard, the Thurgood Marshall moot court in the law center. Is very good. A lot of great people came from that space. And as far as I'm concerned, they should take it to trial. But they may be opening up a can of worms that they don't need to be, that if the right wing were thinking about it, what would they get out of it? So no, I don't think they should settle, but I think that they should mediate. More importantly, again, they just need to show that this is their policy all the way through. It's consistent. He can't call race, he can't call gender, any of that. And he shouldn't have showed up at a place that expects you to behave in class and learn.
Well, you have a whole lot of Howard alum, HU graduates lined up. Look, willing to fight this case for free. They are so insulted that this white man is suing Howard. They are so insulted. They're like, look, you need co-counsel. I got people to come. I'll be co-counsel on this. I will do this for absolutely free. So we will monitor that case and definitely update the
Please.
Instagram
That was
page
fun.
with that. So definitely stay tuned for the results of that case and Tiger's case. Thank you for playing Legal Hot Topics, Maxine Shaw, attorney at law.
Yeah.
Look, you could have been a real lawyer because all your analysis, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a real lawyer and it was all on point. So
Okay.
it was all on point. So as far as I'm concerned, we're gonna give you an honorary law degree. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Thank you very much. I'll take it. Act like it's something.
Yes. So we're going to jump into your specific questions because obviously people know your iconic character. They know some of the work that you're working on now. But we just wanted to quickly just ask before the iconic role of Maxine Shaw and all your other acting work and even what you're doing now, who were you before? Like where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? Like who were you before you were like, okay, I'm going to become this actress?
I was Erika Alexander. I'm from Arizona, Flagstaff, Arizona. I was born in Winslow, Arizona, and I was raised in Flagstaff. And I spent the first 11 years of my life in a hotel called Starlight off of Route 66. And both my parents were orphans. My father was an itinerant preacher. My mother was a teacher. And we dumpster dived and did a lot of things to survive. Eventually, my father, who was Church of God in Christ, got discovered by the German Lutherans, who sent him to the Lutheran Theological Seminary in Philadelphia. And from there, he was able to get insurance and healthcare and those types of things that he didn't have before as a tipped wage worker. And I got the chance to go to a summer program where I was discovered by an independent film at an open call called My Little Girl. And I got a union card, a SAG card, and an opportunity in a career that I never expected to get. That's who I was.
Now, how old were you when you got that first role?
14.
You were 14. Wow. That's amazing. And I don't think most people knew that you started that young. Wow. That's really interesting.
They knew that. If they look back at my roles, I was pretty young. Even on the Cosby Show. Yeah, I mean, you're young. So you have to take it from when you might have known me, but I'm 53. And so people do know that, a lot of us were young. If you look at Wu-Tang and a lot of these people, we were in our teenage years, even Queen Latifah, when we started doing things and we were very entrepreneurial teenagers. That 1969, 68 set, going back, I'm 69 and young 70s, very entrepreneurial, pushed through a lot of things in their teenage years and did well in their young 20s. You see all of that. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. So obviously fast forwarding from 14 to whatever, 20 something, you become Maxine Shaw Attorney Law on Living Single. With this role, because again, it's so iconic, did you ever consider like actually doing going back to school or doing anything in the law or politics or government just because this role? I mean, I'll be honest with you, people really think that that's you. Yeah. And I know that's the audience has issues with separating the real person from the actress.
That's okay. No, I never would do that. I think I respect the fact that it takes a huge amount of learning and DNA to do that. I appreciate that people would think that, but I think that that's just down to good writing and me, inhabiting. My father was a preacher. I know how to assert myself, and people assign that to lawyers because that's how it's been presented. But we know that most lawyers don't spend a lot of their cases in court. They spend it mediating and doing a lot of paperwork and a lot of reading and things like that. And that's maybe why a lot of people who are lawyers become writers. So there you are.
Right. Definitely. How involved were you in the Maxine Shaw character? Because obviously it was written for you, but did they allow you to have like input with some of your lines and some of the things? No. So you just was like, here's the script. I'm just going to act it. Interesting.
Well, no. You go to an audition and you're chosen from a lot of people and they choose you for different personality quirks or whatever they think they need that will make a chemistry. And that's what happened. I went to an audition. I was auditioning for several things. I was up for something called Mantis. I didn't get that. So based on the contract that I had negotiated to be up first, there were all these rules that you had to do, especially back in the day, to audition for anything. I put it in second position. I didn't get Mantis. I went the next day for Living Single. I ended up getting that show and being on it.
And the rest is history. So how do you feel? Well, before I ask you how do you feel, what is your favorite episode? What was your favorite? Do you have a favorite episode? There's so many.
Well, we didn't get to watch the episodes when we were making them. So a lot of the stuff that we made, we had to see in syndication. So looking back, I did like very much the ones where TC got to sing. I love that he sings My Funny Valentine and that Max is trying to disrupt it. I love the Marvelette episode where we're the Flavorettes and Max, Khadijah's character takes over Max's position as front singer. I love also the one where Latifah is in therapy and Jasmine Guy is her therapist, and she's ashamed as a CEO to need therapy, but she's depressed and doesn't know it. I love her performance in that, and it's great. So there's so many shows I love because of our guest stars, which were magnificent. Eartha Kitt came on one time. We had Flip Wilson. We had the best guest stars, and that's what I think I love the most is sort of seeing who drop in, and we love that they wanted to be on the show, that they all said yes.
They all said yes, yeah. Well, my favorite scene is definitely the divorce case where you said you left the man nothing but with a tic tac. That's probably one of the most viral scenes that are on to this day with social media. You mediated a case for your
That's
client and a divorce, and you left him with the tic tac. So that's definitely what
lit in the tic tac. He got lit in the tic tac.
Lit in the tic tac.
That's right.
Absolutely. So with that being said, how does it feel to know that, again, when you were doing this character, you didn't obviously know that it was going to be this iconic. How does it feel now? You say you're 53. Like, how does it feel now that you are literally because again, you were one of the first, outside of Claire Huxtable, obviously, you're one of the first Black women on TV to be an attorney. How does it feel to know that you've inspired so many people to go to law school and become lawyers?
It's fantastic. We call it the Maxine Shaw effect because it was demonstratively different after that show, especially when you talk to the people who come and tell me that they went to law and or are CEOs or positions of leadership because they were partially inspired by her. People like Stacey Abrams, Ayanna Pressley, Marilyn Mosby, Mayor de Blasio, his wife, they have come up to me saying this. It's great. It's the best compliment you can hear because, again, I didn't choose that role. I got chosen to play her. So if they see something that I did within the paradigm of being cast, that's great. What I love is that I think what she represented visually with her natural hair, darker skin, that she still was dressed to the max and short skirts and very not outside of her own sensuality or sexuality. She wasn't cloaked in that either because there was some back and forth about that, especially if you were a Black woman, whether you could be that person and still be happy. Because she was happy. That's what I think that they liked, the modernity of her. She was also fair. She was good at her job. So
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So obviously, in addition to your Hollywood career, you have now, you have Color Farm, you have your production company now. You have all these new projects. I know one of the advocacy platforms you've recently talked about is reparations. So could you tell us a little bit about just your general feelings about reparations and then any other causes that you're really, advocating for currently right now?
So I'm an advocate and activist for, I would say, around human rights and social justice, and that falls into social justice. I just co-directed The Big Payback, which is a documentary about reparations for African Americans. It's directed by me and white male co-director named Whitney Dow. The film follows the historic story of Alderwoman Robin Ruth Simmons and Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who is pushing H.R. 40 in Congress. H.R. 40 is a bill to study reparations that has been stuck in committee since the late Congressman Conyers from Michigan introduced it. That's over 30 years. And then Alderwoman Robin Ruth Simmons actually passed the first groundbreaking local bill in Evanston, Illinois, as the first tax-funded reparations bill in American history. So that's what you'll see in the film. And my skin drew me into the story. I'm a Black woman born in America, and race and color, gender definitely is the American Molotov cocktail. So you're in it whether you want to be or not, especially if you look like me. And so I'm just one of many people in a long line of Black American citizens, white citizens, all types of people trying to dismantle these systems. And that's what partially Color Farm Media is, which is my media company with Ben Arnon. And that's what we do. We just did Finding Tamika. Finding Tamika is about Tamika Houston, who went missing in 2004 and was found dead, murdered in 2005. And we created a neo-noir ghost story about it with a true crime spine. And we got the DuPont Columbia Journalism Award for it a few weeks back. And also we were Audible's #1 true crime series. So Charlemagne and Kevin Hart helped us produce that and partnered with us on it. And we're really happy that it did so well. And we're keep moving.
Where can our viewers, you said Audible. You said Audible. So where can we, big pay, what is it? Big Payback?
Payback is on PBS, and you can go to paybackmovie.com and it'll take you to that and the podcast accompanying it. And also Finding Tamika is on Audible. So Finding Tamika, just type it out and it'll tell you where it is. And it is a series. It is behind a paywall, but it's well worth it. And again, it's been very successful.
Okay, great. Well, I just want to make sure our viewers know where to support and find your great work. Obviously you're a very successful actress. You could have just continued to just, be a successful actress and do different roles. Why become an advocate? Why use your platform this way? Since, obviously technically you didn't have to. Why did you feel the need to also become an advocate in addition to an actress?
Well, I've been acting nearly for 4 decades, and showbiz was all I'd ever done as a paid professional for the most part, everything inside of showbiz, but I'm a storyteller. That's in my DNA. I couldn't stop it if I want to, thinking about stories or telling a story. It feels like a curse sometimes, and it can be a burden, but everywhere I go, I see stories. So inside of these problems, I see a better story, and telling story can help move the mark and create change and support. And like I said, I didn't know it was my destiny when I got discovered at 14, but that was sealed. And I think everything in the world needs to be fueled by love and passion and a gift to tell stories. And the people who can do it should do it. So that's what I do.
What do you think is the hardest thing about being an advocate? Or what experience so far has been the most difficult for you when you've been trying to push for some of these things? What's maybe the most difficult thing you've come across?
I think the most difficult thing for any advocate is always money, 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 money. There's never enough budget to fund the revolution, okay? There's never enough budget to fund these things because they're not necessarily things that people like to fund. Anything that pushes against the status quo or people who are in power or wants to set a moral right path is difficult to fund. You think it'd be easy, but it's not. But those people who are dedicated to social justice, they understand what you're there for. You're not there for the glamour of it. There's no ego involved usually because it can be so thankless. But there are not enough of these good folks to go around because a lot of people can't afford it, literally. We spend much of our time making money, not making much of anything. So when you see something come out from Color Farm or anything I do, it's because I've tried to create the time. And no matter what I'm doing, whether it's series work or TV film, I'm doing that. And so a lot of people pay lip service and hype to talking about Black equity or advancement or any of those things, but that doesn't translate to progress. If you're in a marginalized creative community, talking about these things can be radioactive. They don't want to fund media either, especially films. They feel it's too risky. So what I try to do is just show up and help build a pathway which is toward economic independence and organic sustainability, which I think will fund and help us all. But it's not because it's glamorous, like I said, or even financially viable. I feel like I can do well by doing good, though. I feel like I will make money and be financially successful. I just think that you have to keep plugging.
You plug in. So with that being said, is there anything else? I know you mentioned the big payback and finding Tamika. Is there anything else that you're working with that the audience should know about? Any causes, projects, anything you would like them to stay tuned for?
Yeah, they should be in the Texas Town Hall. It's going to happen today. It's going to be an actual debate at 5 Central, at 6, excuse me, 6 Central. Check that out. I'm also going to be with Teslin Figara on Fanbase. We're going to be talking about social justice and those types of things, the thing that she digs into. She's a fantastic advocate who fights really hard in the space and is very a fantastic example of what can happen when you teach and combine your life story with what is good and right. And also people should know that we're going to be doing our HBCU tour. HBCU tour is about the big payback. We do an impact tour. We're going to be at North Carolina HBCU starting this week on Thursday at NCCU, North Carolina Central, and also Shaw. And then next week, we're going to do the rest of them. And you can go to, again, bigpaybackmovie.com and see the schedule. Please come out. It's for the community as well. We're inviting clergy, any synagogue, any of that to help people with retirement homes, things. These are things that involve them. We're trying to make sure we get it out. The students will be working hard to create a great debate a la James Baldwin and William Buckley in 1965 at Cambridge. We're trying to manifest that again and take the stink off of the word and make it okay. By the way, we're supported by Ben & Jerry's, who helped us. And when we first pulled out the film or launched the film in this year in Tribeca, we also did a screening at the Apollo, and they came out and dished out ice cream, root beer floats for reparations now. And they're doing it again all through that tour. And we thank them for their bravery and their courage. It shouldn't have to be a courageous thing to do, but it is, because they're one of the few corporations that actually calls for reparations and helps to push for the study to go forward, which they want an executive order from Biden to happen because he can do it and we can get to just looking at it.
Well, that's amazing. And we always close out with our Black Excellence Moment of the Week, but we just want to give you a special shout out because for those of you that listen to the podcast, you know, we have this great merchandise with all the Black TV lawyer names on it. Erika was actually the first person to wear it. She was our inaugural Black TV lawyer to just spread the word about the shirt. And part of those a part of the proceeds of that particular collection actually goes to our Black law student scholarship. So we help with bar exam fees and books and things like that. So we just want to give you a special shout out for being the first person to wear the shirt. Really appreciate that. Our Black Excellence Moment of the Week is Gabrielle Union. She's actually partnering her beauty line with giving $75,000 worth of grants to business owners kind of in the beauty and the hair and the fashion space, entrepreneurs. As you mentioned, Erika, you got to have money, you know, you can't be at zero. So we think it's amazing in honor of International Women's Month, which is March, which is this month, that she is giving out those grants. So I believe the applications open on March 8th. And if you're interested, you can go to the Flawless by Gabrielle Union website to find out more about that grant. And it's a grant, so you don't have to pay it back. It's not a loan.
Gabrielle Union. I just met her for the first time. She's wonderful.
Yeah, she is. She is a big advocate in the community. Such as yourself. So we're just so happy that we have people in the entertainment space, like you said, willing to share their platform to help the community, whether it's their voice, wearing a shirt, money, whatever. You know, we're very grateful for your contributions and your help. And obviously, we will continue to plug you and plug everything you're doing on our Instagram page. We're really excited to release this episode and get the feedback about this episode. So many people were waiting for us to talk to you. So we're really excited to release this episode. Thank you so much for coming on. And as always, we are rooting for everyone Black. Take care, everyone.